Taylor, as a certified athletic trainer yourself, what types of things, of course like medical related, do you see at a fencing competition?
So I think we're seeing a lot of overuse type injuries here. They're using their wrists and their elbows more often than maybe some of the other athletes in just some of the motions that they're doing. So we're seeing a lot of injuries or pain in the radial and ulnar deviators, which is what bring the hand up and down, so that flicking type motion that they're doing. And then the flexors and extensors of the wrist, so that out and in. Turning the hand over, like palm facing down and palm facing up, which is your pronators and your supinators. And then when they bring that arm straight out, you're seeing a lot of the anterior shoulder pain out in the front. We have also seen some hip flexor strain. So when they're out in that deep lunge, they're putting a lot of strain on that hip flexor, which lies right in the front of their hip.
So in lay terms, we're talking about the wrists, the shoulders, both on the lead arm or the weapon hand,
yep,
and then the trail leg and the hip flexor.
Absolutely.
So how about being proactive for these athletes? What types of exercises might they be able to do to train or strengthen those areas?
So strengthening, I think just general body strengthening is always great. So I think core is important no matter what you do, so any kind of core exercises are great. But for your lower body, just lunges and squats, and that can just be body weights. You don't have to add any weight to that exercise. And then just wrist flexion and extension. So if you just put your arm right on the edge of a table and bring your hand straight up and your wrist straight down, you can add a light weight to that if you want. If you don't have weights at home, it can be something as simple as holding a hammer or holding a soup can or a water bottle. It just gives you a little bit of resistance. So you can build up the muscles in your forearm out up into your elbow to prevent some of the overuse or soreness that these athletes are feeling every day.
And for youth athletes that we're seeing here at an SYC or those all the way at the Olympic level, it's simply doing basically the same motion they would be doing with their weapon, but doing it with some weight or incrementally each day.
Absolutely. So when you add the weight, it gives you a little bit of resistance. It's also muscle memory, training the body into that motion, but you're doing it in a slower controlled motion as opposed to just shooting your arm straight out there, and it's a quick motion. If you train that muscle in that direction, maybe using a little bit of resistance, when you get out there and you're doing this repetitive over 4, 5, 6 matches that we're seeing in these big tournaments, you're hoping to eliminate the chances of injury.
Now Taylor, as an certified athletic trainer, how about on the reactive side? Injuries do happen in sports, especially a sport that's imbalanced like fencing. What types of physical therapy or recovery exercises can athletes do to target, the shoulders, the knees, the wrists, the elbows, the groin or hips, the typical areas of injury?
So seeing a physical therapist, if it's something that's out of your realm, is obviously something that I would advocate for, or another healthcare professional, so athletic trainers are also great in this area. But if you're just looking for some simple at-home exercises, just the basics I think that everybody kind of knows, maybe just for the lower body, like I said before, just basic squats and lunges. For the wrists, like I said, the flexion and extension, the up and down, almost like you're going to go to shake someone's hand, like a handshake motion, but up and down. And then just turning that palm over, palm down, palm up. And then the shoulders, I think we all know, like the basics, we use a dumbbell, you can do bicep curls. Tricep dips are great for the back of the arms. And then when your shoulders are coming out, you can do the coming out into abduction or out in the front. But like I said, if you add a little bit of resistance, and it doesn't have to be a weight, it can be like a TheraBand, one of the rubber tubes, if you have one of those at home, or no weight at all, really, and just using your body against gravity.
All right, and that's a reactive type of healing mechanism.
Yeah, so you can really use some of the same exercises proactively and reactively. Once you sustain an injury, obviously you want to give your body time to heal before you're going to start that exercise program again. But when you have an injury, that means that that body part there was an injury to that body part. So now you need to re-strengthen and retrain. So not only are you re-strengthening, retraining, you're also adding the stability factor back. So if you have a lower body injury, now you have to retrain the muscle stabilizers. That's why I said always incorporate the core. Even if you don't have a core injury, you throw your proprioception off, which is your body's reaction to it in space. So you throw those things off when you have an injury because your body is trying to protect or guard that area. So you can use those basic exercises proactively and reactively, but if it is a bad injury, I would definitely suggest seeing a professional so they can get you started on the basics, and then you can kind of take it from there.
Now with this weekend being a youth event, how active has the sports medicine section been for you?
Actually, knock on wood, today hasn't been so bad. Like I said, we've just seen some of the overuse type things, and that's been easy with just, you can control the inflammation with some ice and have the kids rest. I know that, they have a couple of bouts throughout the weekend, whether it be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, but when they get home, making sure that they're really just relaxing, get some ice on the body part. You can use some sort of an NSAID, so an anti-inflammatory if you want, just to kind of control the pain and swelling. I think we all know that when you put the body under a lot of stress, it's going to react. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just your body saying, hey, listen, I'm tired, I just need a small break.
So you highlighted one critical component in a multi-day event like this, where you have kids doing 2-3 events. If they sustain some of that inflammation or an injury, what are quick recovery activities such as ice a competitor might be able to do in those target areas of like shoulder, wrist, hip flexor?
So like I said, I think ice is good. We have to remember that we have to let our bodies warm back up before we get back out there. So you don't like, you wouldn't start up your car in the middle of the winter and just hop into it and go. It's the same thing with your body. You don't want to put ice on it and then run out there and do another event. You want to give yourself some time to really warm back up. If you put your hand on your skin, it should be the same temperature as the rest of your body. You go out there with a cold muscle or a cold body part, and now you're setting yourself up once again for injury. So ice is great, but making sure that you have that hour in between to make sure that you're recovering. Also, just taking a break, just sit down. I know a lot of us are running around, we have 100 things to do, and kids are kind of all over the place, but having the kids just sit down, take a break, make sure they're eating and hydrating. I think hydration is a great thing to remember. I know we have a lot of, the sugary drinks out there, but making sure we're getting water, or if the kid likes Gatorade, maybe cutting it in half, getting some water in there as well, making sure they stay hydrated. It's going to keep their reaction time up, they're going to feel better, and their body's going to respond better.
All right. Taylor, thank you so much. And yes, knock on wood, there are no injuries or increase in injuries here this weekend.
Absolutely.